So I was just informed by my team that one of the top Googled phrases is, why did I stop losing weight on low carb diet? So I decided to do a video on it. Let's talk about it. In this video, we'll talk about what a low-carb diet actually is. The answer might surprise you. And then we'll discuss what could be causing your weight loss to stall. And last, you'll hear how to lose 10% of your weight each month without stalling. So the low-carb diet is thrown around. I mean, it's been one of the biggest topics for the last 4 years. You know, the low carb, the keto lifestyle, all those kind of things. And let me tell you, can I just say, yeah, low carb and keto, they're saving lives, but low carb and keto are very different. I don't want to put those together. Low carb is saving lives, keto is saving lives. And why is it? Because the standard American diet recommends that we get 60% of our intake from carbs. I mean, they're recommending we get 350 grams of carbs a day. And they don't seem to care whether they're refined processed carbs. They just say carbs. So we got people that are loading up on grains, on the Costco lasagna, on rice-a-roni, because they think it's healthy, and that's what the government recommends. So getting people anywhere away from the standard American diet, I mean, I'm here for it. I'm glad about that. Code Red, Whole30, the keto lifestyle, we're all playing our part here. We're all playing our part getting America healthier. Because have you looked around lately? Americans are very sick and very fat. 88% of this country is metabolically sick. And this ain't good. So we do have to do something. And the low carb diet is helping with that problem. Now, I first heard about the low carb diet from Mark Hyman. Dr. Hyman has been a pioneer in this field. And his book, Eat Fat, Get Thin, was pretty life-changing for me. In fact, I was a fat athlete. I was the fittest yet the fattest I had ever been. I was 20 pounds fatter than what I am now. I'm not saying I'm fat now. I mean, we all could stand to lose a few pounds, I'm sure. But I was 20 pounds heavier, and I was an elite level cyclist. So I learned about the low carb diet when I had nowhere else to turn. I mean, I was riding my road bike 300 miles a week. Miles and I were riding our mountain and our road bikes all over the world, through Italy and France and Germany and Spain. I mean, we were spending just a huge amount of time cycling all over, and I was super fit. I was riding with guys. I was holding records. I was earning awards for my elite level cycling skills. But my gut would hit my knee when I would cycle. My head would hurt all the time. I had IBS problems. I always had a foggy brain. I never felt good. I felt tight in my skin. My cellulite would hang off my body. It wasn't pretty. And that's because I was following the standard American diet. I was following what we were all taught. You just have to move more. Well, I'm riding and I'm training 5 hours a day, and it wasn't doing any good. And it was only until I read Mark Hyman's book, Eat Fat, Get Thin, that I learned about the high-fat, low-carb lifestyle. And I learned that it didn't matter how much I was riding, it didn't matter how fit I was. When you got the Costco-sized bag of peanut M&Ms and you're hand-making your own pasta and having pasta puttanesca like Miles, we call him Chef Miles for a reason. I mean, he is a really good cook. Problem is, I was still eating crap, I was still eating sugar, I was still drinking Diet Coke, and I wasn't addressing my real issue until I learned about the low-carb lifestyle. So in no way, shape, or form am I against a low-carb lifestyle. I believe everybody should be low-carb, and I'll explain to you why in a second. But the definition of a low-carb diet is anything under 100 grams of carbs a day. The problem with that is when you keep your grams that high, yes, it is an improvement on the 350 grams a day that the government recommends. Yes, of course, that's a big improvement. But you're still hovering just above that feel-good spot. You're just hovering above that spot to where you haven't quite switched over from using glucose to fuel your body to ketones to fuel your body. And I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm not talking about ketone strips. I'm not talking about, like some of you keto people, like you get way freaked out about ketones. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your body using its own fat to fuel itself. And when you're having 100 grams a day, you aren't quite tapping into that stored fat fuel source. And look, I just had my body fat tested here a couple of months ago from the time that we're recording this. I have 40 pounds of fat on me. I do. I have just under 40 pounds of fat. So if we do a little bit of third grade math here, and a pound of fat is roughly 3,500 calories, that means I have 140,000 calories of stored fat on my body standing before you right now. Hello. If that's a lot of energy that I've got stored up. But if my body never learns how to tap into it, I can't get any leaner. And by keeping yourself at 100 grams a day, although it's an improvement, it's still not quite good enough to get you down to help your body flip over to that fat burning fuel source. Before I go on any further, I want to hear from you. I love to hear from you. I really do. I read all your comments. Comment below and tell me, what is your impression of a low-carb lifestyle, a low-carb diet? Have you tried it? Did you try it and it didn't work? Well, maybe you were doing some things wrong that I'm going to talk about in this video. I don't know. Comment below. Let me hear your story. I do appreciate that the food manufacturers have answered the call of the people. They have obeyed the demand of the market to produce low-carb items. And you can go to a lot of different restaurants and you can find low-carb items. Usually they say low-carb / keto, which is not the same thing, but they're getting better at it, all right? It's getting a little closer, and it's getting the carbohydrate intake down, and that's what I really appreciate. The reason we want to get that carbohydrate intake down is because every time you eat anything, your blood sugar goes up. It doesn't matter what you eat, your blood sugar goes up. The pancreas then has to release insulin to bring the blood sugar down so you don't die. Insulin is the fat-producing hormone. You absolutely have to have insulin. You'll die without insulin, but you only need a small amount, and you only need it for a very short amount of time. When you eat a low-carb diet, you don't need as much insulin, and this is a great thing because when insulin is present, fat-burning hormones are turned off. So when insulin is gone, yeah, you guessed it, fat burning can now take place. And who doesn't want to burn a little more fat? We all do. So a low-carb diet is going to only trigger a little bit of insulin, and that's always a good thing. But I do appreciate the fact that the food manufacturers and restaurants are now trying to create low-carb items. Like you could go to most even fast food restaurants and you can find a keto bowl where they might do a keto bowl taco from Taco Bell. I mean, I'm not saying it's the greatest thing in the world. It's a step in the right direction. I would suggest you stay out of the drive-thru. But if you have to go to the drive-thru, there are low-carb options at most restaurants, and that's a good thing. That means we're moving in the direction that we should be moving. So if you're on a low-carb diet, what could be causing your weight loss to stall? Well, like I mentioned earlier, I think you're still getting too many carbs. If you're really wanting to get this weight off, you need to drop down to 10% of your intake being from carbs. And you're wondering, okay, well, how do I figure that? All right, let me do, again, a little bit of math here for you. If you're eating 1,500 calories a day, you take 10% of that is 150. But since there are 4 calories per gram of carb, you divide that by 4 and you get 37.5. So 10% of your intake from carbs on a 1,500 calorie diet would be 37.5 grams of carbs a day. There you go. It's pretty easy. But I think that in order for you to really kick up that weight loss, you need to get under 50 grams a day. No matter who you are and what you're eating, definitely get yourself under 50 grams a day, and you're gonna start speeding up your weight loss quite a bit. Another reason you could be stalling on your low-carb diet is trying to have too many low-carb snacks. Look, and again, I'm happy that the market is meeting the demand of the people. I'm always happy about that. But Atkins, for example, makes these little Atkins treats. Well, my mom keeps them in her house in a jar. And they're little chocolate. Oh my, have you tried them before? Mm-hmm. They're so good. they're so good. They're like little pieces of crack. Let me tell you, okay? They are a little chocolate low-carb treat. And she keeps a whole jar. of them. And my mom doesn't have a sugar addiction problem. She doesn't have a problem like the rest of us do, where she wants to eat everything in sight. She doesn't have that problem. So she keeps a jar of the little Atkins chocolates there in her house, and she'll maybe just have 1 or 2 a week. Well, if I am left alone with that jar of Atkins treats, I'm gonna eat the whole jar. And these little treats, these low carb treats or these low carb snacks, they'll do your health no good, because snacking does your health no good. Yes, the low carb option is better than a plate of Betty Crocker brownies, but it's still not good to A, to snack, and B, to snack on processed food. Like, you need to just get that crap out. You might be doing that, and you might be justifying it by saying, well, it's a low carb option. Well, good for you, Karen. You ain't losing no weight. So knock that crap off. The next reason you could be stalling on a low carb diet is you could be not drinking enough water. There is this condition called auto-intoxication, and it's when you are not drinking enough water to flush your toxins, therefore you reabsorb them. Hello, gross. You need to be getting at least a gallon of water a day. Don't forget, for every gram of carb you eat, your body hangs on to 3.7, almost 4 grams of water. So by you having a low carb diet, you're hovering around that 100 grams a day mark, you could be still hanging on to water. You need to flush. There are so many reasons why proper hydration is huge. And I've done a ton of other videos on water. We're not gonna dive into that right now. You can go look those up. But water is huge. It's the second biggest rule in weight loss. So get at least a gallon of water a day. The next reason you could be stalling on a low carb diet is lack of sleep. Look, I don't care who you are. I don't care what diet you're on. If you ain't sleeping, you ain't losing. My dad's an LCPC, and he says if you go 3 days without sleep, you will start acting, feeling, and talking like a crazy person. And that is so true. The body hangs on to body fat as a way to protect you if it senses a lack of sleep. It is just a protection mechanism. It's not your fault. It's not your body's fault. It's gonna sense a lack of sleep as stress. And in a time of stress, your body's gonna protect itself. So you have got to get at least 7 hours of sleep a night. And I highly encourage you to track your sleep with a Fitbit. Personally, I love my Fitbit. I think I have the Fitbit Charge something, the Fitbit Charge 3 or whatever. I don't care what you use, just track your sleep. Figure out if you're getting a good quality sleep. I get anywhere from 85 to 92% on my sleep score each night. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm a good sleeper, but I'm also super militant about my sleep. I've done many videos on sleep. If you are interested in diving in about learning more about sleep and how that can help you lose weight. But you ain't sleeping, you ain't losing. You could be stalled on your low carb diet if you're not sleeping. A lot of people think that stalling or plateauing on their weight loss journey is just something you just have to deal with. Well, I just gotta go through it. That's just how it is. That's always no, I disagree with you. You don't have to stall. You don't have to go through these roadblocks, these frustrations, these periods of time where ain't nothing happening. That's actually not true. When you give your body what it needs and you are getting nourished on a cellular level, your body's gonna shed the excess body fat. When you heal your body from the inside out, your body is gonna shine for you. So if you're not losing weight and your current program is not working, I am here to tell you, I can get 10% of your body weight off every month without shakes, pills, diet foods, or exercise. So I highly encourage you to check out my custom program. Let me show you a better way. See, I already did the legwork on this entire program. I've got it all ironed out. I know what works. I know what doesn't. I'll write a personalized program for you and we'll get you on your way to where you never have to go around this weight loss mountain again. So click the link below for a custom program. If you're not ready for that, click the link for the 10-pound takedown. That might be a little gentler of an approach for you. And I'll see you on the next video.